My name is Jack Groppel. I'm a professor at Judson University. I have a joint appointment in exercise and sports science and also in business. I recently retired as the co-founder of the Johnson & Johnson Human Performance Institute. In my career, I've had the great fortune to work with professionals in extremely high-stress arenas, critical care workers in healthcare, elite hostage rescue teams in law enforcement, the C-suites of major corporations, and yes, the arena of world-class sport. I'm honored to be with you today to discuss the concept of stress and taking care of yourself emotionally and mentally. First, I want to thank you for everything you have been doing and for all that you will continue to do. You find yourself in an amazingly stressful time. In fact, this is unprecedented in history, in recent history, what we're going through right now. And I'm sure you have your concerns, very understandable concerns, about your own health and safety, your families, and your community. The endurance required to do your job right now is overwhelming. You likely find yourself just go, 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 go. And you know in your mind, it's not sustainable to keep up that pace. So right now, I want to just talk about you. Even though you're emotionally strong, in fact, I can't think of many who are emotionally stronger than you right now, you have to be intentional about taking care of you. And intellectually, you know that the pace that you're at right now isn't sustainable. You can't keep it up. But you say, look, I've got to do what I've got to do. So just for a moment, let's talk about biology. You see, you cannot be linear. You can't just go, go, go. It is not sustainable biologically. A human being is a biological being. So you see, it's not just about stress. You've already been going at incredibly high levels in the face of unbelievable stress. But stress, unabated by recovery, can cause great harm. I want to introduce you to a novel word, oscillation. It's the cycling between stress and recovery, the cycle. Recovery is the idea of the recapture of energy. Now, stress and recovery have been studied for decades. The ideal is to find some sort of balance between stress and recovery in that cycle of stress and the recapture of energy. And the best way to do this in what you're facing right now is through intermittent bouts of recovery or recapturing energy. Here's a question for you. How many 25 to 30-second intervals do you think you have in your day or in your shift where you don't have to be just intensely focused? I would bet there's quite a few. Just a couple of examples come to mind. You're talking with a colleague, or you're in between patients. You're grabbing a snack. Maybe writing a report. I know you have to be focused writing the report, but there's a lot of little intervals. It's intervals of where you could get a bout of recovery. How can you use this information today for your own and invest in your own emotional renewal? Let's talk about what you have control over. And I want to give you actionable steps today. Actionable steps, things you can do right now. Not something you have to train for, things you can do right now. But first, I want to invite you to do something, and that's to give yourself permission. Now, notice I said give yourself permission. You don't have to get permission from a boss or from a colleague or from someone else. Very often, those of us who really push ourselves and we say, I got to do what I got to do, we've got to give ourselves permission to momentarily pause. Now, some of the tips I'm going to give you may be very useful, some may not. So I invite you to find what can you use for yourself and try to employ those things. Number one, when you get this intermittent bout of recapturing energy or recovery, here it is, disengage. You can't say, I'm going to meditate, and then all you focus on is the problems at hand. So disengage from the stress you're under. The first dimension I want to discuss is the spiritual dimension. This is where you access a sense of purpose. Let me give you an example. You call home. You get this moment to call home, and you go, and you're down, and you're pushed, and you're stressed, and you go, hey, I'm just checking in. Gosh, today's tough. I hope you guys are okay. I'll talk to you when I get home. Let's shift that just momentarily. Maybe you already do this, but call home and say, hey, I just want you to know how much I love you. I'm thinking about you and everybody else there at home, whether it's friends, family, children, whomever it is. I just want you to know I love you and can't wait to see you tonight. Talk to you soon. Now, you just shifted the entire phone call to that sense of purpose sitting on your heart, and you disengaged from all the stress and engaged in what gave you recovery. If prayer is important to you, pray in those moments of recovery. And know also, by the way, that millions of people throughout the world are praying for you. Meditation. Find an inspirational scripture verse or a quotation and just say it to yourself and then meditate on it. The next dimension I want to discuss is the mental dimension. These are your thoughts, and we can really control those in a big way. Now, I'm sitting in front of this mountain for a reason. This is Kilimanjaro. It's the highest mountain in Africa at 19,340 feet. I had the great fortune 2.5 years ago with my son to climb it. And I want to share with you two very quick stories. On summit night, this is when you're going to leave the camp, base camp, which is about right here, and you're going to climb 4,000 vertical feet from 15,300 feet to 19,340. And they do this briefing, and it is sobering. They're telling you it's going to be monotonous, it's going to be pitch black, all you've got is your headlight, it's going to be cold, it's supposed to be 0 degrees Fahrenheit, the winds are going to be about 20 to 25 miles an hour, and they basically go, it's going to be awful. And you're going, really? And they said, here's what we want you to think about. Think about the people you love. Think about things that really matter to you and meditate on those while you're in this climb. What are they doing? They're giving us positive thoughts to change our physiology, to change us and give us the motivation to make it to the summit. So that's where they use thoughts to help us access a sense of purpose. Here's another one. It took 6 days to get to the summit. We summited on the 6th night. At the end of the 2nd day, we'd climbed about 3 hours the first day, 6 hours the 2nd day. We were a little over 12,000 feet. We hadn't seen the summit yet. Suddenly the clouds cleared in the evening, and there it was. Now, it's still 4 days away, but oh my goodness, did it look ominous, impossible. I'm tired. Am I going to be able to do this? And my son and I, we used the very famous, well-known Chinese proverb and verse, and we used it the entire trip, and it goes like this: the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the next step. And we just said, look, if we look at the top of that mountain from here, it's insurmountable. It's almost impossible. But if we take the next step, we're going to make it there. If we just keep taking the next step, and sure enough, on the 7th morning at sunrise, we were at the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. So we use these positive thoughts to motivate ourselves and give us senses of recovery in the face of stress. The next dimension is the emotional dimension. You know, we are creatures of emotions, and our feelings are so valid. Here's just one little exercise. When you're in your momentary bout of recapturing energy or recovery, just say this: I'm grateful for, and you fill in the blank. What are you grateful for? Are you grateful for family, for the friends that you have? You're grateful that you can take care of all these patients that are in need? Just momentarily, so you disengage and then say, I'm really grateful for, and let that sit on your heart. So you disengage from the stressor and you engaged in recovery, and it was able to help you. The final dimension I want to talk about is the physical dimension, and it's the most popular: nutrition. Please don't go longer than 3 or 4 hours without eating something. Now, you might be saying, I can't. Right away, see, that's our go-to. I can't. I don't know if I can. There's always, you can have energy bars with you. You can have snacks in the snack room. You can have juice, access to juice. There's all kinds of things that you can do. But try to go no longer than 3 or 4 hours without eating something. It helps the brain. Movement and rest. If you're on your feet all day, Momentarily, just sit down. Now, when you sit down, don't focus on the negative. When you sit down, maybe do your gratitude exercise. So if we're standing, we got to sit. If we're sitting, we got to stand. And then sleep. Try to get sleep. But if you need to environmentalize your life, make sure the room where you sleep is dark. Make sure it's a little cooler so you can sleep well. Environmentalize your life. If you like music, play music. So environmentalize your life so you can recapture and renew yourself emotionally and mentally. And the final step is to please don't be afraid to ask for help. A support system is critical. Counseling plays a huge role in all the stress that we're often under. It's very, very important. So as we go into closing this time together, these are steps you can take right now. You don't have to train and wait and, oh, these are nice, I'll do these later. I'm offering these up to you to do right now and begin bringing these little bouts of recovery and recapturing energy into your life, in your daily patterns. But please know this, we all thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. We are so grateful for you, and I'm praying for you. But just like being on the mountain, it's one step at a time. Let that sit on your heart. One step at a time. You can climb this mountain you're facing. Thank you, and God bless you.